Fraternizing with the enemy, I had stepped over the edge. The cartoon moment when the gravity waits for the coyote to realize his mistake before the plunge.
Wanted to make this video after seeing Peterson's latest interview. There is a rhetoric repeated by Jordan Peterson and people like him to generate the legions of Betabox Deluxe men. He calls it being competent and generous. Then he says being competent isn't enough to attract women. You have to be generous also with that money. It is actually hilarious how shamelessly he's telling to his victims to chase gold diggers, basically. Like no shame whatsoever. I will get to that shortly. You see an identical rhetoric in Manosphere at large. That's been honestly poisoning young men's minds. Under the disguise of being competent, they make men believe that the attention they are gonna get afterward, after acquiring high social standing and money, will be genuine.
Why did I decide to build an online university? Well,
and now he has opened his own academy, Betabox Deluxe Academy. I mean, it really does feel like these days everybody has their own academy, university. Oh bro, you gotta have a purpose, the pathway of adventure. You're gonna remember Hamza. Hamza is saying you the same thing. Oh, you gotta be a trailblazer. And as the carrot, they all do this. As the carrot, they dangle that, oh bro, you're gonna get woman. Woman as the prize. Oh, woman like rich man, bro. Rich and generous man. If you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life, you gotta be competent and generous. Peterson is really fixated on competence and social economic aspect. So this is what we are gonna talk about today, guys.
Generally, what women want is something like confident, productive generosity.
Women use wealth as a marker for attractiveness because they use wealth as a marker for competence. And what they're after is the ability to generate wealth and to share it and to be generous with it. It has to be both productivity and generosity.
If he's not generous with that money, if he's not sharing that money with me, what good is he? AKA Betabox Deluxe. Be a provider, you know, be a good, capable provider, and then finally you will get something. Wealthy and also generous. Otherwise, you deserve to be lonely. If you are not in the top 1%, this is your destiny that you deserve. People like Peterson and Tate, I am telling you, people like them are shadow gynocentrists. It is funny and also ironic considering what they are accused of being, right? That being said, I will concede one point here. If you ain't got the looks, the potential to be a 7 or an 8, get to a 7 or an 8 out of 10, this might be the Betabox aspect, might be your only option to get females. Because guys, let's be real here. Women consider the vast majority of men as below average. There is data behind this. Women see an average dude, they are gonna think he's nothing to look at. You might see yourself as decent looking, but that is not how women see it, brother. That is the problem. People get mad at me when I say this, but this is the truth. There is basically no difference. No difference between a 5 and a 6. There was a tweet I have seen about this the other day. A woman on Twitter was calling Linkin Park members borderline unattractive. Now, if Linkin Park are borderline unattractive, what does that make you and me? I mean, I know that a single tweet isn't proof of anything, but there's also data behind this. Her tweet is actually confirmed when we look at the data as well. So guys, if the Linkin Park is borderline unattractive, what does that make the poor oofy doofy of the street? Like, what kind of chance does the poor oofy doofy stand? And when I say this, people get mad, but there is really a very minor difference between a 5 and a 6, as far as their ability to attract women is concerned. I'm not talking about other aspects of their lives. If neither of them has the money or the status, the difference between them will be, you know, the 6 out of 10 will be better looking when watching Hammerand streams. When he sees his reflection on the computer screen, he's gonna be a little bit better looking than the 5 out of 10. That is the difference. And when I say this, people get mad at me. But it is the truth, man. Like, what do you want me to say? There is a very minor difference between a 5 and a 6. So Peterson's theory of Betabox Deluxe will hold true in this case. And people say, oh bro, Rehab, what about looks maxing? Dude, soft looks maxing, sure, do it. You should looks max, but there is no guarantees that you are ever gonna get to that level. Sure, do looks max. Go do it. But know that the chances are you are never gonna be that guy. Even hard looks maxing, like forget about soft looks maxing. There are no guarantees, even with hard looks maxing. Because surgeries are done on operating tables, not on Photoshop canvases. I have seen people in this community, man, like who somehow managed to be chads through surgeries. But I have also seen many countless dudes who have gotten surgeries and it is like rehab room videos before, hemorrhage videos after. Like guys, I am not against looks maxing. And I will even say I have done more looks maxing than the 80%, 90% of those guys on looks maxing forums. But you gotta be realistic with your chances.
You look like Frankenstein because after you did like 500 million surgeries in your face, and still look at you and be like, oh my God, you look beautiful. No, be like, you look like shit.
So yes, that leaves being a financial provider as your primary option when it comes to the dating market. So I agree with Peterson on this aspect. For the vast majority of men, social status, aka being useful to women by providing money and financial means or other means is gonna be how they get a partner. The only way they can get a partner. It doesn't always have to be money either. But when you look at the relationship dynamics, you will quickly realize that she's depending on him. One way or another. Bro, if she needs you, you cannot call it love. You cannot call it a genuine relationship. If she needs you because of the material possessions you can provide to her, you can never call it love. And when you look at couples, guys, you can pretty much realize this. They give it away pretty easily. They say, oh, I would leave him, but the rent, or they say children, the well-being of children. How am I gonna feed all of them? I need to find a cheap place first, aka Betabox Deluxe. She never loved him. But that is the case for the majority of men who get married. Majority.
My mom started working out with a reef. My dad's traveling a lot. We start seeing a reef a lot at the house.
Oh gosh, okay.
So he starts privately training my mom at the house. I remember one day they were working out in the workout room and I tried to go into the room and it was locked. And I was like, hey, open up. And they would not open the door. Now I know what they were actually doing in there. She started Western Unioning him all of our child support to the point where we lost power in our house for over a week.
So you have two options. The first, get to a 7 or an 8. Or 2, simply go through the route of being useful. For the vast majority of men, the second option is gonna be easier. Being useful in any shape or form. It could be being useful to females with your passport. It could be with your status. It could be your streamer status, YouTuber status. When you gather 300,000 subscribers and you finally let out the simp you always had in you. So it doesn't always have to be with fiat money. Now, is that a dignified course of action? That's a question you gotta answer, man. As you know, plenty of people in the Manosphere, in these circles, believe that it is. They go date those girls, e-girls.
Who are the main protagonists in female pornographic fantasy? Pirates, werewolves, vampires, surgeons, billionaires. Tony Stark, you know.
This is his go-to line, by the way. He uses this argument in pretty much every single interview whenever he gets asked any question about attraction. In female literature, they are seen that they are attracted to pirates and vampires. Brother, when women fantasize about vampires, they fantasize about the guy in Twilight. When they say pirates, they think of Johnny Depp. Prime Johnny Depp, not the current 98-year-old Johnny Depp. Old Johnny Depp, who tried the box for Amber using his so-called Hollywood status. And what happened? What happened, guys? He got used and abused. Got insulted, humiliated, injured, his hand, slandered. He lost all his acting roles. While Amber, that female, went behind his back and banged Elon Musk. Together along with that British chick, that supermodel. But guys, that is because Amber never really loved Johnny Depp, some 65-year-old dude. She was in it for the status of dating the famous big bad Johnny Depp, even if 97 years old. But when someone else with even bigger status and even bigger money comes along, Elon Musk, she dipped fast. When women say, oh, vampires are so hot, werewolves, pirates, they don't imagine some balding manlet or some oofy-doofy off the street.
And a decent marker for the capacity to generate wealth is wealth, although it's not the only criteria. So women are looking for competence.
Guys, this is the trap a lot of men fall for. If you are rich, if you ever get to that level of rich, wealth, and influence, there will be a lot of women tricking you into believing that you are that guy. And you are gonna believe it because of your ego. With all the ego you have from all the ass-kissing people, you are gonna believe it. I call this the Betabox Deluxe trap. It is a dangerous trap because when you get rich and powerful, you are gonna get people kissing your ass 24/7. Not even only women, but everybody. Really, it gets to people's heads. They start to think women who show interest in them genuinely like them. But here is the thing, even if you say, oh, Rehab, it doesn't matter, as long as I get some action, I don't care if I am a Betabox Deluxe. I am cool with being a Betabox. I am cool with being used for my money. Still beats the vast majority of men. So, Rehab, why shouldn't I follow the advice of Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson? I get this from the community all the time. We hear this. We see people saying this all the time. I am cool with being used for my money, they say. But even if you ignore the dignity aspect, okay, you say, I have no dignity already. I get that. Some of you are willing to close your eyes and so ready to believe in a lie, just to have a better time a little bit. I get that. But this threshold to box, that money level, so-called being competent, is getting harder and harder. Easier said than done. Because now it is much easier for women to make money. Women don't need the average salary man's financial means as much as they used to back in the day. These days, they can just as easily get into STEM fields. It's ain't 80s, bro. They can do it just as easily. Maybe even easier, depending on the field. Easier for them to get government assistance. Majority of government assistance goes to women. Then if they are into sex work, there's a huge industry waiting for them. Like a year ago, you're gonna remember I had made a video about OnlyFans Economics. Crazy, it has been a year already since I have made that video. I had explained OnlyFans Economics and why it is actually way easier than people think for women to make money on there. OnlyFans revenue for 2024 is estimated to be nearly $8 billion, guys. $8 billion by the end of the year. When the numbers are out at the end of the year, you are gonna see that their profits are even bigger than when I made that video. Now there is a business field, OnlyFans manager. I know people from the community doing this. The dude moved to Thailand and now he's an OnlyFans manager. Like, online simping has gotten so bad. It is so easy to fool oofy doofies. Even men are taking advantage of this. You hire some brain-dead 19-year-old girl from Colombia and she does all the age and account verification. And you do all the marketing. You gotta find the victims, oofy doofy victims. She just takes the pictures for you. I explained this in detail a year ago. 99% of the accounts there don't make money because a lot of women there are lazy. They ain't about that life. They think they are too good to spam their naked pictures on social media platforms like Reddit, day in, day out. They ain't about that life. They just expect money to fall into their lap. They think they are too good to flirt with some disgusting oofy doofy of Reddit to take his money. They just open an account, post a mediocre selfie and expect money to pour in. And when it doesn't happen, they go, oh, I knew this was too good to be true. And they leave. That is why 95% of the accounts there don't make any money.
So I went to the embassy, they think I'm a risk and I need a return flight there and back and I need a hotel. I need to have spending money in my bank account. They won't let me come. Or how much you need? All right, 10 grand. Boom, it's 10 G's. Boom, thanks.
I used to feel bad for men who got scammed on OnlyFans. I don't anymore. I don't, man. Low IQ Sims getting scammed is the natural selection at work. They never deserve to have that money anyway. The retard is gonna bust his ass at work. His life already sucks. He's some glorified Excel monkey. And then what does he do with that money? Gives it to some dude, not even a female, a dude from the what community, pretending to be a female. Like, those girls don't even know the oofy doofy even exists. Natural selection at work. If anything, it would be unethical not to take their money. You would be resisting, you would be working against the natural selection.
I said, keep the oil, keep the oil, keep the oil. Don't let somebody else get it.
But back to the point, men don't have the financial advantage anymore like we used to. The rhetoric from boomers like Peterson might sound fine and dandy. Oh, clean your room, pull yourself together, be competent at what you do. It is all about what you can provide to a woman. But even if we assume all that to be true, even if you are cool with being a Betabox Deluxe, like some people are in this community. That is not easy anymore. Even that is challenging. The money threshold, the needed money threshold is much higher. Making 500K a year is easier said than done.
Narcissists can fool naive women. That's why narcissists propagate, by the way. And we know this because narcissistic psychopaths, young women are more likely to fall for narcissistic psychopaths. And the reason for that is they can't tell them from competent men. Because narcissistic psychopaths imitate competence.
It is funny how you can't be a narcissistic psychopath if you ain't got the looks. Stuff like being a pirate, narcissistic psychopath is reserved for good-looking males. If you show them a sub-5 bona fide narcissist psychopath, these dark triad coppers are instantly like, oh wait, rehab, this doesn't look like a narcissist psychopath. Even people in this community do this, by the way. I always read people say, oh no, rehab, he wasn't a real dark triad. If it is a dude that got nothing, then all of you are like, oh, rehab. He wasn't a real narcissistic psychopath. People were saying that for Elliot, who was the epitome of a narcissistic psychopath. Funny how this dark triad never seems to work out for the unattractive males, right? Notice how they never bring up hordes of delusionally confident ugly men who are just seen as creeps, or other narcissist psychopaths who got no love letters from anybody. It is always either hot criminals or otherwise really powerful ones. So I will not concede that being a narcissist psychopath increases your attractiveness in any significant manner. The study that suggests that doesn't control for looks. So I don't deny that there could be a correlation, but that is because narcissists, overly confident men on average, tend to have stuff to back up that narcissistic overconfidence. On average, not everybody of course, but on average. You are gonna notice that they have the credentials. The ones that are overconfident, narcissists without actually having the credentials to back it up are seen as a joke by everybody. Guys, understand something, alright? In essence, in reality, oofy-doofy terrorists and the dark triad terrorists have the same mentality.
Most women aren't gonna like you, and it is you. So you have to grow up, but then, you gotta understand that if you make yourself competent and productive and generous.
They keep repeating this competent word, but they never properly elaborate what it means. A lot of the workforce is competent people. A lot of men who work an honest job, making 40K, 50K a year. Honest job. But they are competent people. When you say this, you will realize that behind the word competent lies the good old Betabox Deluxe. What you can provide to a woman. By the word competent, they mean rich and influential. What about a competent retail worker? You're gonna say, wait, rehab, that doesn't sound like competent. Because in reality, people don't want to come off as shallow. So instead of flat out saying rich, they say competent.
First of all, no one likes young men. So if women don't like you, it's like, well, that's par for the course. Who likes young men? No one. Why? Well, they're basically troublesome and useless.
Women not only like young men, but actually prefer them too. Just not the average young man. So that is why Peterson will make sense to people watching him. Cause those guys, his followers, ain't got any attention during their prime either. So tricking themselves into thinking that women are genuinely attracted to money is how they cope. The only way they can cope. They gotta believe that they can somehow, make up for the lack of genuine attraction by providing for a woman. And I love how Peterson says the most basic, most cliche stuff, and people act like his takes are so unique and sophisticated. Bro, what are you saying? This is the good old Betabox Deluxe strat. Peterson has got to be one of the most overrated celebrities. Media personality, whatever you want to call him. He went viral at first because of his anti-politically correct takes, and now he's loved by all the right-wing woofy-doofies. People like Bob. I bet you anything Bob loves him too.
Sexual interaction, I feel like, is the engine that drives towards that cynicism of the
it is
in Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground.
There's very little doubt about that. We know perfectly well anthropologically that the most unstable social situation you can generate is young men with no access to women. That's not good. And they'll do anything to reverse that situation.
Will they? Will they though? Or will they resort to escapism? Or will they say the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore and resort to online consumption? or to OnlyFans. By the way, I'm not even talking about the general manosphere when I say men with no access to women. I mean the hordes, armies of low status men in real life, making 50k, 40k a year. A lot of men make that money. Assuming they have a full-time job, right? Sub-average man, borderline unattractive man. I don't buy this, oofy doofies are a force to be reckoned with. They will do anything, brother. They will go watch some streamer, female streamer sleeping on live. That is what they will do. And then they will go watch the game of Betabox Deluxe versus Oofy Doofy United. That is what they will do. Peterson really underestimates how much BS people will put up with before they finally say no. They will just resort to video games. Those e-girls streamers sleeping on live. You really think any of those guys who spend their life watching Twitch have access to women? Come on, man.
Anything.
In this day and age, when you also consider the fact that men today have lower testosterone levels. Like today you are not gonna get those, men will do anything to reverse that situation. Sure, anything. Such as donating to a Twitch streamer.
I would say to the young men who, and I have many times to the young men who are locked in isolation, it's first of all, join the bloody club, because the default value of a 15-year-old male on the mating market is 0. And there's reason for that.
Peterson is downplaying the issue here by saying 15-year-old. But it is not only the 15-year-old anymore. At 15, sure. But like, what about men that are 25 with still 0 data market value? What about 30-year-old men? And this number, the number of 30-year-old men is way higher than what people think. Because I know Peterson would cope and say, that is just a minor, tiny fraction of men, and they just never leave their basement. They must have done nothing with their lives. Peterson doesn't know what is going on, guys. This is why you can't take advice from people like Peterson, Destiny and other boomers in the manosphere. They don't know the realities on the ground. When Peterson was on the dating market as a non-famous person, JF Kennedy was still alive. When Destiny was on the dating market as a non-streamer, Bill Clinton was the president.
But then you might ask, well, what should I do about it? And the answer is, get yourself together. Stand up straight with your shoulders back, take on some adventure, find your calling, abide by your conscience, put yourself together, and you'll become attractive. And we know this is, we know this is true. The correlation between male sexual opportunity and relative masculine status is about 0.6. That's higher than the correlation between intelligence and academic achievement.
Because they don't control for looks and facial attractiveness in those type of studies. That is the problem. If you look at having children, having families, getting married, and while doing this, you run the study from a naive standpoint of, facial attractiveness for men doesn't matter anyway, it is subjective, and take the looks out of that control group, of course you are going to end up with that result. No doubt, rich and high status men are going to have much more opportunities to have children and have families than poor and low status men.
It's like, well, why do I have to perform for women? And the answer to that is something like, why the hell should they have anything to do with you if you're useless?
Except men don't even get to reap the benefits anymore. Not like back in the day where you could come home and your meal would be cooked, the children would be taken care of, you would get action at the end of the day. You would play your part by working and providing, and your wife would play hers. Now it is not like that anymore. Dude, people got angry. I remember in one of my videos I suggested that taking care of the child, changing the diaper, is the responsibility of the stay-at-home wife. People got mad at that. I remember there were multiple people in the comments pissed off. So even some people here are against the idea, the concept of changing the diaper being the responsibility of the mother. This is the social fabrics today. Everything must be 50-50. No gender roles. Men are gonna be like women, and women are gonna be like men. So what is in it for the dude? You are gonna put yourself on an endless, eternal self-improvement treadmill, and what are you gonna get for it? The question he's complaining about is perfectly valid, perfectly reasonable. Why do I have to do all that just to have a wife when she's 30? When I won't even get to reap the benefits like men used to only 30, 40 years ago? These are perfectly reasonable questions. Oh, go on an adventure, learn 37 languages, acquire wealth, but you also gotta spread it to women. Go get pirate status. All this endless self-improvement cycle. And for what? To be in a marriage in 2024 after she had her fun during her 20s. This expectation, brutal expectation on men, don't go the other way around. He says, oh, she's gonna take care of the baby for 18 years on her own. Yeah, bruh. Except this ain't 60s anymore, brother. When you were in the dating market. Long gone are the days of women doing all the work herself for 18 years. They go work, make even more money than their husband. They don't want to cook. They don't want to clean. They want to live like a man. So then the question a lot of men are asking is, why wouldn't I resort to other forms of escapism, other forms of pleasure? I can hire call girls, I can indulge in male hobbies. People like Peterson put men on an endless self-improvement treadmill with the carrot dangling in front of them. But the problem is that carrot is rotten. Guys, I'm gonna end the video on this note. It is important that you understand this. People like Hamza, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, these are all prime gynocentrists. And I know people are gonna be like, wait, did you just call Tate a gynocentrist? Rehab, isn't everybody calling him the opposite? Guys, when you look beyond the surface, when you look at the implication of their rhetoric, the consequences of their rhetoric, you will quickly realize what's up. Don't be a free agent in life.